Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining in on the live stream. In today's video, just like all the past streams, we're going to be covering what you guys asked in the chat and just talking about what's going on in the market. Thank you guys so much for joining. We should have a pretty good stream today. Futures are creeping up a little bit. We have MVIS just skyrocketing in pre-market. We have MVIS, actually, I think it's the #1 trending stock on Wall Street bets right now, and we all know how that goes. So, yeah, the market's creeping up a little bit in pre-market. Tom, what are you thinking? Oh, Tom, you might be muted.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting with MVIS here, and it's been a very interesting morning, moving up above $14. And if we go to that max daily chart, we can see that it actually bounced off of the $10 support over the past couple days, and that was a very big resistance in the past. And once we passed above it, it became support. We hit it once in the past, now we're hitting it again, and it's just a fantastic green candle off of that and off of the 100 SMA, which is just posing to be a very good level for a lot of these stocks. We see MVIS pop off support. We're seeing Peloton start to pop off support as well. And it's just these stocks are getting really close to these supports, and we have to hope that they can hold these levels, or else we're just going to see, if they don't hold, then we're going to see some pretty big falls through them. But Peloton is holding that $100 support, and they had some pretty bad news. There's that other humongous stock, Mike. What's that one that you keep trading cash secured puts on?
Oh, Zoom?
No, not Zoom. It's
Netflix, Peloton, Draftkings, Tesla.
It's like a really low price stock.
Oh, the low price.
Palantir.
Oh,
Palantir.
yeah.
They keep bouncing off support around $20 as well. And it's posing a really good level for a lot of these smaller cap stocks that have really flown, like Palantir did, to 45, and then have fallen over 50%. It seems like they're all bouncing off their pretty solid supports. And I think it just goes to prove that whenever you buy on supports, it just proves to be a pretty good time to buy.
Well, sounds great. So the market has opened. A huge shout out, Angel, Hunter, Oliver, Urak, Click, Royal, Piper, I'm Fierce, and Raphael for joining in. It looks like the SPY is pulling back just a little bit at open. Right now, the SPY is basically break even. It's down 0.06%. Let's take a look at Draftkings. I was watching this one. It's pulling back a little bit. MVIS is pulling back a little bit. Let's take a look at Apple. Not really doing anything. Tesla, yeah, so it looks like a little bit of a very slow start to open. With the market's only been open for less than a minute. So, yeah, so let us know what you guys are watching in the live chat. We have Oliver saying he's watching TDC, Sklz, and PLBY. So let's take a look at TDC. This thing's up 28% already, and it actually pulled back in pre-market, and it's still up 28%. So looks pretty good. I'm trying to look at it on the daily right here. Yeah, it looks pretty decent. IV's rising too. This might be a pretty decent day trade.
Yeah, it actually popped up above $50. It's moving very well above that. So definitely watch out for a continuation here out of this one. And he also said SKLZ, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and SKLZ is looking amazing. I just think that this stock, it ran so much in pre-market. Just watch out for this move to the downside at open that we're seeing. I mean, it's coming down to the 100 SMA. We might see a continuation to the downside if we keep seeing SPY and some of these other stocks going red, just because with how much that they've ran in pre-market and since the open from yesterday, it's almost just due to fall just a little bit.
Sounds good, Tom. We got to take a look at Palantir. I know so many people are talking about it. It's actually breaking resistance right now. We got to be careful with this one, though, because it could very easily be a fake out. It has a good history of having a lot of fake outs around open. So right now it is breaking above that 23 resistance, which is a pretty good sign. Its next resistance, let me pull up my chart real quick. Its next resistance like right around like 23.30, you can say. Then it has some chop around 24. But I know there's a lot of hype in this one, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and they had that really good. Didn't they have a deal yesterday, Mike?
Oh yeah. We covered it in yesterday's video. So
yeah. So they actually had a catalyst, which is a good thing. So hopefully it can keep running here up to 24, like you stated. I really like the movement out of Palantir overall, and it's a pretty good play out of Palantir. I will say on that daily though, definitely watch out because it hit that support pretty well, and we are starting to move quite a bit of ways from that $20 support now. So we're getting to the middle of the range, and we might hit resistance, like you said.
All right, and then we have to check out PLBY. So this stock has been on a huge run over the past 2 months, you can say. It went from about like $12 all the way up to $46.45. It looks like it's pulling back a little bit right now. The biggest thing with this one won't even be direction. It'll be the options pricing. Look at how much that IV is just exploding. Right now, it's at 154%. So, there are situations when IV is so high where you can predict the direction correctly and still lose. So I just want to, put out a word of caution to be careful with this one, whether you're buying calls or puts, because IV is so high where, you could buy puts, the stock can fall, and you can still lose money. And I want to give an example of that one right here. So let's say we look at the PLBY puts. Right now, the May 21st puts for, May 21st PLBY puts, the 40 strike puts are going for around $5 each right now. So that's a break-even price of around $35, which is about a $10 fall in the stock price. So, the market makers are definitely expecting a lot of movement.
Yeah, for sure. And PLBY is just a very interesting stock to me. I find it pretty funny that it's doing so well right now, and it has to do with those NFTs that they're doing, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, they're getting into like electronic NFTs, so it's just a pretty interesting sector there. And I do like the movement today. They came down and hit that support around 44 very well today, and it's just looking like a very solid moving stock. And I see somebody else has to check out LAZR, which is going to be something that has to do with LiDAR tech. I'm Fierce 13 is asking, and it's looking like a pretty solid setup overall, but we did actually catch a lot of red candles at open, unfortunately. But for the longer term, I do like the LiDAR technology. I think it's going to be very useful in the electric cars and obviously in phones and stuff. I know iPhone's starting to use LiDAR in their cameras, so it could be a pretty good technology going forward.
Very, very interesting. And then we have, we have Trevor saying NNDM has been showing some potential. Let's take a look at it. So NNDM is up around 4% today. That's pretty good. It's bouncing really hard off of that support at like 650. It looks pretty good, actually. I mean, it looks like a double like a double bottom. So I like it.
Yeah, really good double bottom at 660. It is kind of consolidating here at the top around 780. It's having some trouble getting above that, but definitely watch out because it's at the 1,000 SMA. I think that once it passes this 780 point, it could be a fantastic time to buy. So if you're looking to trade a breakout, this could be a great trade for you if you're looking to get into a cheaper stock that can break out at $7.80. If it goes up above that, target $8 for a really quick scalp. If you want to go a little further, you can maybe target $8.10, but I think $8 would be a really safe move there. You get a nice 20 cent gap out of this penny stock.
Sounds great. And I did talk about a stock I've been, stalking for a couple months now, and that's Zoom. ZM. Kathy Wood has been buying more and more into this company. I like the company for the long term. Just a couple months ago, this stock was going for $588. Right now, it's at $328. I really like it right now for the long term. I'm really considering getting leaps on Zoom. I'm a huge fan of it for the long term, and I think like over the next 2 or 3 years, it'll definitely continue up. I know that because it really exploded with COVID, and I feel like the pandemic had such a big impact on, how people work and how companies, handle remote work. And I feel like no matter what, even if the economy fully reopens, I feel like Zoom is always going to find a way to adapt. And they've been put in a really good position this year. So personally, I like this stock for the long term. Let me know what you guys think in the live stream chat. What do you think about this setup, Tom? I know it's getting pretty close, but it actually bounced off that 300 support a couple times.
Yeah, if I'm just going off of the setup alone, I actually really like the setup. It looks fantastic, like you said, for the longer term. Cash secured puts or just picking up shares below $350 can be a great play on Zoom. And I really liked it around that $300 level. I know me and you have been talking about it privately for a little while now, and I know that you've definitely done some cash secured put plays on it as it's been around $300, but it's been an amazing stock. For the long term, I do like it. A lot of people don't have confidence in it because they say that they say that the company won't be able to perform as well whenever COVID kind of goes away, because they've COVID actually benefited them so much that whenever it goes away, it can hurt them. But I think that they'll innovate and they'll kind of break through that. And guys, I just trust the charts. We're bouncing off that $300 support, and that's what I look at the most. So with the setup, I really like it, and I think that's it's a solid company for the long run as well.
All right, and then we have Click asking about Palantir. So let's take a look at it. Right now, it's up around 0.7%. So Tom, here we are with that fake out. Remember, we were just talking about that a minute ago, right? So it broke above resistance. Now it's starting to come back down. So I really like it for the long term. For a day trade, we might retest that resistance, that 23 resistance later in the day. Right now, it doesn't look amazing for calls or puts really right now. I think as time goes on, we might have a better setup throughout the day. Right now, I'm not a huge fan of it for a day trade. I like it for the long term, though. It looks like it is bouncing off some of your SMAs, right?
Yeah, it's bouncing off the 500 SMA and the 500 EMA, which is pretty interesting to see, and it's coming back to the upside. It also got close to 2270, and I think that this stock is going to have a lot of volatility this morning. Like we said, we've already seen it kind of explode up and now tank off, and now it's trying to come back up. So it's definitely a volatile stock, as it usually is, and it's just one of those big stocks. It's always mentioned on Wall Street Bets, and people are always looking at Palantir, and especially with Cathie Wood buying it over the past few days, that definitely helped it as well.
Yep, and then let's take a look. We have Charles asking about NIO. Let's take a look at this one. So this one's up a little bit today. It had an amazing candle at open, but now it's starting to pull back. And actually, if I look at the SPY, the SPY's pulling back a little bit. QQQ's pulling back a little bit. The VIX is rising a little bit. We have Tesla pulling back. So we have a lot of mixed movement in the market today. But going back to NIO, I like it for the long term. You just have to be careful with it. In terms of sizing, I know some people are trying to go all in leaps or some crazy stuff like that. I like it for the long term. One thing to be careful for the short term is that they do have earnings pretty soon on April 29th. They have support right around $35, and they have a resistance level right around 42, and then another one right around 45. So I like it for the long term, definitely. For the short term, if we continue to break out, I'll like it. But with the way it's moving right now, it actually just went from green to red, which isn't a good sign.
Yeah, and on my daily chart, I actually had a pretty good downwards trend here on NIO, and it did actually break above it yesterday. So hopefully we can see some good movement out of this stock. I know that a lot of people have been picking it up down here around $35 to $40, and now they're hoping for it to go back up. So if we do see a tank off to 20, that would be an unfortunate thing to see. And I do think NIO is a great stock for the longer run, but like you said, it's just an interesting day today overall, with NIO now turning red on the day, negative 0.4%, and it's just a pretty weird day overall. We saw a lot of momentum to the upside. Now we're seeing it all swing back down. Let's go back to the SPY again. Wow, it's all the way down to my 1000 SMA on the 1 minute chart, hitting 414.75 right now. I have a pretty good support at 414.25, but I have a pretty good feeling that we're gonna see some green candles here off of this 414.75 level.
Good stuff. And then we have Royal asking about Netflix. So let's take a look at Netflix. I was looking to do some cash secured puts on this one. I wanted it to fall more though. Netflix right now is really reminding me of Peloton's setup. So if we look at Peloton earlier in the week, we can see that they gapped down on Monday. Yeah, on Monday. And then on Tuesday, they just had a very slow continuation down. I'm not saying Netflix is going to do that, but the setups look pretty similar right now. So yeah, it looks like it, in my eyes, it looks like it is going to continue down. Do you agree with that, Tom? Disagree? Any levels you're watching? What's going on?
Yeah, I actually really agree with that. And just because of the gap down and then how we're also bouncing off of that resistance around 515 on Netflix, we see this a lot where a stock will have a very bad day, and then obviously the next day, then it'll kind of recover back up. And that's just because a stock like Netflix should not have fallen 10% plus. That it just happened on terrible news, a bad catalyst, plus it was after hours. And that, whenever it's in after hours, that can really affect that stock. And we just saw that big move back to the upside. And I think now we're going to start to retest low levels around $500. If we break that, definitely watch for a move back down to 490, then 480. But I will say I will like this still to the downside. I don't see it really recovering all the way back up right away until we retest those lows a little bit.
All right, sounds good. And then Tom, are you watching like any important stocks this morning? What do you have your eyes on?
I've really just been watching SPY. I've also been watching VXX, and that's been a pretty good one as well. That's been popping this morning for some reason. And, we have seen the SPY down, so that's probably why the VIX is popping, but it's been a very slow moving stock. I know the VXX is actually going to have a reverse split. I think a 4-to-1 reverse split pretty soon. And then we also have UVXY, but let's just go to the VIX itself. And yeah, the VIX itself is up to 1770 today. It's not the biggest move in the world, but it does show that the markets are getting a little bit more volatile. And I think that, for example, we're looking at SPY right now on the daily, and we're starting to see some red candles. And I think that that's going to be a pretty bad thing. We're around all-time highs right now. We might bounce off of it, and they might act as solid resistances. And if that's the case, we might see some downwards momentum out of the market over the next couple of weeks. But if we break all-time highs, then obviously you're going to have to switch your strategy around and be more bullish on it.
Sounds great. And then we have I'm Fierce saying thoughts on LAZR in LiDAR tech. So Elon Musk is like one of my idols, and he said that anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed. So, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I would have to research it more, but Elon Musk is a genius. And, if he's saying that, anyone...
Wait, what did he say?
He said, Elon said, anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed. So, I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean, but I don't know. He's a big idol of mine, and he's very, very intelligent. So I'm definitely going to trust him on this one. I'm going to do a little bit more research before I give an official answer to that question. But Tom, let's take a look at LAZR. Do you have any levels or anything you're looking out for?
Yeah, it's bouncing off of 1825 right now as it came down today. I'm not too bullish on it right now. If it breaks above 1985 or $20, I think it'll be a great play. But going back to what Elon said, that's pretty interesting. I know that Tesla doesn't use LiDAR on their vehicles, which was an interesting thing to see. I think my thought was that they would use their technology plus LiDAR plus as much stuff as they could possibly get, just so that they could see those sensors and really see what's going on. But it's a pretty interesting subject. I think that for the longer term, lasers should do pretty well. I do like it as a company. The daily chart is showing that it's pretty low though right now, so you have to be careful with it, guys. Whenever the charts look like this, it might not be the best thing to get for the longer term. Get it, but if you get it, then you better trust that LiDAR technology is really going to explode. But like you said, Mike, if Elon's not trusting it, then why should you trust it? But at the same time, maybe Elon doesn't have the rights to put it in his car or something like that. So there could be something weird. We don't know.
Who knows? In my eyes, Elon's a genius, and for the most part, I'm gonna agree with him. So let's take a look. Actually, I want to talk about laser for a couple more minutes. So with laser, let's say you do like this stock for the long term, but you're a little hesitant, right? You're like, all right, it keeps dipping. I don't really know. What you could do is you can go out and sell some cash secured puts. This is one of my favorite strategies, and LAZR, it's actually pretty cheap for a cash secured put. So what you can do is, let's say you go out to the May 21st expiration. Right now, the stock is around $18 and let's say 30 cents. So if you wanted to buy shares of laser right now, you'd have to pay $18.33. But what you can do is you can go out to May 21st expiration. You can sell the 15 strike put. Basically, you're going to get paid $100 in cash for doing that. If LAZR closes below $15 on May 21st, you have to buy 100 shares of laser at $15 each. No matter what, you're keeping your $100 in premium. So we're not going to go too in-depth with cash secured puts right now, but in my opinion, if you're a little on the fence with this one and maybe you want to get a small position, consider doing a cash secured put because one, the stock price fell a lot. Two, the implied volatility is high. And if you don't mind holding a little bit of the stock for the long term, it can be a win-win. So in my opinion, if you're on the fence, I think cash secured puts would be the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. And how much can you get for the premium, Mike?
You could actually get $100 for the 15 strike put for May 21st.
Wow, that's pretty insane because that would only cost you a total of $1,500 to take that position. So that's actually a very good ratio right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, only 1,500 in collateral, and actually, once you get the premium added to your account, it's actually only going to be like around 1,400. So, you know, it's definitely a pretty decent setup for that. You know, you just have to make sure you wouldn't mind holding the stock for the long term. Let's take a look at some of these other questions. We have Lauren saying thoughts on PEP charts. Let's take a look at PEP. It's pulling back a little bit right now. They reported earnings this week. It's such a slow mover. The IV is only at 18%, so it's a super slow mover. Let's take a look at its chart. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it is a pretty slow moving chart. I will say it's bouncing, trying to bounce today back to the upside. It almost looks like a dead cat bounce to me though. It looks like the stock really wanted to go up, but it gapped down this morning, bounced off the 146 support. I don't know what to think. I'd be more neutral on it right now. It looks like it can go either way. We might see it start coming back up to like 147, 147.50, but personally, I think it might start to go to the downside here, just given what the movement looks like. But it's middle of the range, so be a little. Don't overly look at it one way or the other. I would definitely be more neutral on it.
All right, well, for everyone who's new to the stream, feel free to comment what stocks you're watching. Tom and I will cover them. Thank you guys so much for joining. This is our 4th stream, so we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said, let us know what stocks you're watching. Tom, let's take a look at the SPY right now. We are coming down. We're coming down to support right around, let's say, the next support level. The next big support level is around 414. We have a little support level like right around like 415. So we might see a bounce right here. But let's take a look at MVIS, MVIS. Looks like it had a ton of crazy movement this morning. Implied volatility is really popping. It pulled back at open, broke highs, now it's starting to pull back a little more.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's coming all the way back down. It's not a good thing to see it hit right around $15. Now it's coming down. So I'm a little bit worried that it might have hit an upper resistance, and now we're moving back to the downside. On that daily chart, though, like we said, it gapped up pretty strong from yesterday. So it's definitely going to be volatile today on this stock. And I will say, though, on the 1 minute chart, watch for it to possibly hit off of 1375 if you want another move to the upside, because that could pose as a solid support here.
Sounds good. And then let's see. We have Vicky saying good morning, and then CHPT. So ChargePoint. Let's take a look at it. CHPT. I love the sector of this stock. It looks like they bounced pretty well off of the support around $20, which is good to see. I like this one for cash secured puts. Another similar setup would be BLNK. So they both look pretty decent.
Yeah, and I think come a few years from now, I think there's going to be a lot of people who were pretty upset that they weren't getting some of these EV charging stocks at lows. And these charging station stocks are very nice. You know, they're really low price right now, actually, for the sector that they're in. And obviously stocks like NIO and LI and stuff like that are getting hurt as well. So that's probably the reason. But I think going out longer term with the infrastructure bill, and also just trying to integrate EVs into the economy, just obviously they're trying to integrate EVs as much as they can to reduce emissions and stuff. And I think that that's going to be the main thing for these charging station stocks. And if you start to see these stocks securing good contracts and stuff with the government, then you're going to start to really see them explode. And it's just going to depend, I think, on which companies are getting the contracts going forward. And I think it's going to make some pretty good catalyst to trade whenever we start to see that.
All right. And then we have Royal talking about ATUS. It says we have a rocket emoji with this one. So ATUS looks pretty decent. It's bouncing off that support around $32. Has resistance right around 36. So definitely watch out for that. And they have earnings very soon, next week on April 28th. So this one looks pretty decent. I'm not sure if you're looking at this for a day trade or a swing trade or a long-term hold, but let me look at the max weekly. I mean, it looks pretty decent for all of them right now.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it just looks like a pretty solid runner. It looks like it might want to run above 36 and maybe back up to highs around $38. It looks like almost like a good W formation, Mike, doesn't it? It looks like a pretty solid W here on the daily chart. I don't know if you guys can see that too. I'll kind of outline it with my mouse, but it looks like a solid setup. Looks like it has a lot of momentum, and I can see why he put the rocket ship, because it's just an amazing setup today. And I really actually like this stock. If we continue to see movement out of it, definitely look at trading it, because it looks pretty good.
Sounds like a plan. And then we have Kay asking about BABA. So this stock has been going down for the past, what is this, the past 6 months now. It had highs right around 320, you can say. Right now, it's pretty close to 230, has a major support around 220. I think it looks decent. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think it looks decent. Right now, I don't see any opportunities for like day trades or anything like that. I'm not sure if you're looking at this for like a swing trade or like a long-term hold, or what you're looking at it for, but I don't know. I just think it's like an okay setup. It's definitely not one I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, if you were going to play cash secured puts, you would have had a better opportunity on the first time it moved down rather than this time. As we can see, the implied volatility is only 37%, whenever it was at around 60% at highs in the past. So it's not the best time for that, but it is a good time for shares, I think, as it's around lows. But they've been having a lot of problems with the Chinese government. They've had to pay, I think, a couple $1 billion in fines recently, and then also their Ant Group, with Jack Ma's Ant Group, they had a very big problem with regulators as well. And I think that they might have been forced to sell Ant Group, or they definitely had to get restricted on it in some way. And you can see how it really affected the stock, moving it from 320 all the way down to like 210, like Mike said. And it's just a very bad thing to see out of a great Chinese stock like BABA when it does this. But it did create a great buying opportunity. But at the same time, there's so many problems going on that if they do persist, it's not going to be a good time.
All right, and then we have, I just want to talk about BABA for a second. Like, let's say you wouldn't mind holding this one for the long term. What you can do is, we were just talking about that $220 support. You can go to the May 7th expiration, and I'm going to talk about cash secured puts again, but you can sell a 220 strike put, and you can get paid over $200 for doing that. And, worst case scenario, you buy 100 shares at $220 each, and no matter what, you're going to keep the premium. And like the best case scenario would be BABA falls to like 221 on expiration day. You keep all of your premium, and then you can still buy the stock at a low price. So, even though the IV isn't like super high right now, it's still not bad. Like you're definitely getting some decent premiums on it. So I just wanted to point that out. And then with the next question, let's see. With the next question, we have Trevor saying AMC is picking up some steam. So let's take a look at it. AMC is up around 5.5% today. It is definitely picking up some steam. It bounced off support last week, right around like $8.50. It doesn't look bad, Tom. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's actually not looking too bad. Intraday today on the 1 minute, it's not looking the best, but on the daily, it looks like a pretty solid setup here. It does look nice. AMC is a movie theater, and as the economy reopens, who knows? AMC might rocket back up. And I mean, a lot of people are probably going to go to the movies when that happens. And I know that the ones around me are already like fully open back up. So we might start to see some pops out of AMC here. Not just because of the movie theaters, I would say more of just because of the hype with the stock and just people hyping it up. But if we do see more movement, it could be a great play. And sometimes you can even day trade this for a solid, 10% really quickly as it moves $1, almost like it did today.
I just checked with the stock bot, and it's saying that the short float on AMC is still around 32%. So I think that's pretty high for, everything that's been going on with this stock this year. I'm kind of surprised the short float is still that high.
Yeah, I think that what might have happened is that a lot of those guys might have rolled over and somehow got more shares at the top or some shares way higher, which could have actually hurt AMC. But if we do see another squeeze out of it, that's going to really hurt some of those institutions that were doing that, because they already got killed when it first initially went up. They probably doubled down on the position, and now if that happens again, then it's going to be a pretty bad time for them. Definitely watch out. If we do see another short squeeze happen, that's going to be a big runner out of AMC. I think it'll run more than $20 this time, given that the squeeze will start around $10.
Sounds great. And Trevor actually took 80% on AMC this morning. So awesome job, Trevor. That's awesome to see. I see it really popped up above resistance this morning. So that's awesome to see. Great job. And, thanks for joining the stream. And let's take a look with the next questions. We have Royal saying thoughts on Home Depot. So this stock kind of pisses me off a little bit because it just goes up every single day. And like it's just like you'd expect a pullback sometime soon, but it's just like it seems like it's not going to happen. So I'm going to stay neutral on it. I was looking at like a possible short opportunities over the past couple weeks, but you know the setup it's just not there. So like you would think that after however many green days in a row that it would finally start to pull back, but like every time it tries to pull back, it just gets bought right back up.
Yeah, watch now that we say that it's gonna fall all the way down to $300 or something.
Right.
That would just be the luck, right?
Right, for sure. And then let's take a look. We have Oliver saying resistance on pins, PINS. Let's take a look at it. Pins is popping right now. It's up around 2%. It actually looks pretty decent. They have pre-market highs around $75, so that would definitely be a strong resistance level there. It actually bounced off of 76 a lot on, what is that, April 16th too. So I would say 75 and then 76, and then I'm trying to see if there's any other major levels. Do you see anything, Tom?
Let's go back. Let's see. PINS.
Yeah.
Man,
So,
it's actually hitting off the 100 SMA. It hasn't moved too much today though. I will say just watch out for that 100 SMA. It looks like it's bouncing off of it pretty significantly today. If it does break this back to the upside, watch out for it to break 75. I think that's a great resistance in pre-market today. So just watch out for 75. To the downside, watch out for 72.
all right. And then let me pull something up real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. So let's take a look. With the next question, we have Sylvia saying thoughts on Peloton. So let's take a look. This one had a lot of talk over the past week because of what's going on with their treadmill. They are bouncing off that $100 support right now, actually. I have cash secured puts on it at like I think the 85 strike or something super far out of the money. In my opinion, it's a total win-win. But right now it is bouncing off that 100 support. This might be pretty good for a day trade, actually, to the upside.
Yeah, it looks like a good day trade right now. It actually just broke above that 103 level and posted a pretty good green candle here. I think if we see a continuation out of this green candle on the 1 minute chart, it might be a pretty good trade. And let's just watch it here for the next couple minutes. I think that it'll be a pretty interesting stock to watch as it's moving off of this level. And now it's posting a red, so it looks like we're seeing some consolidation here. But I think it will break above that. It's looking pretty bullish, Mike. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you just got to watch out for some fake outs with this one. I know it's very volatile. I would think throughout the day it would continue up. Right now, it's just breaking above resistance, but it's struggling. You could see that it runs up and it's trying to pull back a little bit. So I like it, but I really wouldn't be surprised if we have like a fake out breakout here and then like a continuation up later in the day. That's just my thoughts, but it's definitely bouncing really hard off of that 100 support. Like, Tom, if you go to, actually, the chart you're on right now is perfect. So we're on a 1 minute chart right here, and you can see that it bounced so hard off of that 100 strike, or that $100 support level. That shows that a ton of buyers came in and brought the stock right back up. So it's a pretty good sign, like Tom has highlighted. So I think it looks pretty decent for the short term.
Yeah, definitely. Watch out for it today. If it breaks above 103 pretty significantly, I think we're going to see a pretty good run, and it looks like it's doing that right now. And we are seeing that big green candle that I was waiting for, and we're already up to like 103.40, 103.50 on it. So it's looking like a really good setup today, like you said. Anytime you hit a key level like the $100 support, you have to expect a pretty good move. And it was just setting up good intraday, even breaking that high from earlier this morning. So it was just a solid setup right here.
Yep. Thank you, Sylvia, for bringing that to our attention. It's really starting to fly right now. And then we have, let's see, we have Jerry saying, did you see the news on FSR? I did not see the news on FSR. Let's take a look at it. It's down around 10.5% today. I know it popped a lot yesterday. Let me look through this live news real quick. Jerry, let me know what this news is. It says Goldman Sachs downgrades Fisker to sell, lowers price target to $10. It's not a good sign.
Oh, wow. That's bad.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. And then we have the Fisker CEO calls on the U.S. to improve incentives for affordable EVs under 75 and more for 55 and less. So that's just a proposal. Yeah, I think the main thing is how Goldman Sachs downgraded it to a sell rating with a price target of $10 each. So yeah, it's definitely not a good sign. I was thinking about cash secured puts on Fisker, but I backed out of it because I don't know if I actually want to hold this stock for the long term. Like maybe if it continues to fall below 10, maybe for a cash secured put, but I don't know. I have my eyes on it, but right now it's not like an amazing setup for me. I like NIO and Tesla more, and even some of like the charging station stocks like BLNK and even like CHPT.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those can be a lot better right now, and they are a lot safer than Fisker. That's for sure. I personally like NIO and BLNK. I think those are some amazing stocks for the longer term, and they're at good levels right now to do those cash secure puts on. Fisker, for example, if we go to their max daily chart, like I was on, that's actually just not as good of a play. Let me go to that daily. You can see how it's not really bouncing. It's around some supports, but it's not bouncing off of the key support like the other ones were, and it is starting to go lower. It's below a lot of the SMAs as well, so just watch out for Fisker. It's not looking good on that one at all.
All right, and then let's take a look. Let's see. We have M saying, thanks, guys. Pfizer is down today. So let's take a look at Pfizer. It's down around 1.5%. It's been going up a lot, actually, over the past 2 weeks, which is great to see. I've been watching Pfizer for a while. Someone put a ton of money into the Pfizer 37 strike calls that expire on January 20th of 2023, and they are still holding those calls. So based off that, this might just be a short-term pullback because the smart money is still holding. So we'll have to see what happens, but it definitely is pulling back right now. But it did have a really strong run over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually a pretty crazy setup that we're seeing here on PFE. It had like almost triple topped up here around 39.67 or around 39.80, 39.70 level. And we saw it come down pretty hard. This is a pretty slow moving stock, like you said. So just be very careful with it. Unfortunately, it is starting to come down now. It's starting to look pretty bearish. It was looking very good over the past couple months, but now it's not looking too good.
Honestly, I don't think it's too bad right now. I just think like this might be a pullback because that smart money still holding. Like I remember with GSX, there have been a lot of points where I'm like, wow, is this thing gonna continue down, or like there's just so much volatility? And I looked at the smart money and they were still holding, and they actually sold out close to the top yesterday. So, and then what do you know today? GSX is down 6%. So like, part of me just like likes to respect that smart money because, this might be, some giant institution that knows so much more than, the public even knows. So I'm just going to be like pretty neutral on it. I'm not necessarily bearish, but like I'm not super bullish either. And one thing to keep in mind is the smart money, their options expire on January 20th of 2023. So those have a ton of time left. So I'm not sure if they're even concerned about, this.
But they could have shorted those, right?
No, I think they longed them, Tom. They're the 37 strike calls for Pfizer, and they actually bought in like a month, I think a month ago, maybe a little bit further out. But they bought in and they're up a good amount right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if they bought in like a month or two ago, then yeah, they're definitely in a good position right now. But we are at a pretty good resistance that we've hit in the past as well, around this 39 level, and we're posting a pretty bad red day, so we'll just have to see what happens. But personally, just based off the chart, what we're seeing, it's looking like it's going to keep going down. But like Mike said, you got to respect that money because sometimes they know what's going on.
For sure. And then let's take a look. All right, so with the next question, we have Keith saying, check out T with that gap up. So let's take a look at T. It is gapping up. Wow, 5.5% today. That's big for T, Tom. This stock.
Yeah, I know. I actually have like 100 shares of T that I've been holding for quite a while. I bought them around 28, I think, and it's looking fantastic today with that gap up. They had to have had some news or something go on. Let me go check out that live news on here and see what happened. Let's see. Oh, they reported good earnings is what happened. So that's great for AT&T. Good thing they reported good earnings because, like I said, I have some shares, so that would not have been a good thing to see. But I'm holding them for the longer term. They also pay a fantastic dividend, which they just recently paid it. And it's just a great stock for the longer term, I think, especially with 5G getting more integrated. I was expecting a good move to the upside after it moved above the 100 SMA and had a key bounce off of that over the past couple weeks as well. I was just expecting a good move, almost like how we saw Palantir have a key bounce off the $100 support today.
Good stuff. And then we have Angelo saying, Mike, what's up? Angelo, what are your thoughts on the SPY? Well, thanks for joining the stream. Let's take a look at the SPY, Tom. So the SPY is down around 0.2% today. It looks like we are bouncing pretty hard off of the $415 level, which is good to see. I just want to take a look at some like the top stocks like Apple, Tesla. So yeah, they're all bouncing. It looks like the QQQ is bouncing a little bit. The VIX is falling, so I think it looks pretty good. Actually, it's actually like right at support, and it is good to see. Apple's popping up, Tesla. Let's take a look at Google, Microsoft. So yeah, it looks pretty decent. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really hope that these stocks like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft can really hold these markets up today. It looked like Apple was initially going to really tank off to the downside. Good thing it held at that 132.60 level. Microsoft, that one was also they were doing a lot better at open, but initially they were red like in pre-market, and then they came right back up, but they also held support around 259.80. It's just nice to see that these stocks are holding supports and they're starting to go back up intraday today, because if not, the SPY was starting to look pretty bearish, unfortunately. And whenever we go to that daily chart, Mike, like we keep saying, we're expecting a pullback, but we can't go against some of these stocks that just keep rocketing up and rocketing up, like Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, Target. It just seems like every day they're up, and Target is actually red today, but just very, very slightly. And we can see that one's also trying to come back to the upside again intraday.
Sounds good. And then let's take a look. We have Raphael saying OCGN. Let's take a look at it. It's up around 11% today. Bounced very, very well off of that $6 support, which is great to see. It looks pretty good, actually. I'm curious on their short interest on this one. Let's take a look at their news. I'm not seeing any huge news, but it looks pretty good. I really haven't been following this one too much.
Yeah, me either. But on the daily chart, it doesn't look too bad over the past couple months. But I will say for the longer term, it's definitely not the best setup in the world. But I think that it might do good, given what they do fundamentally. If they do something, if they come out with something great or something like that, it could be amazing, obviously. But just watch out. There is a good resistance here at 775 around where it hit today. There's also another one around 825 and then 875. So just be careful. If you go on the 15-minute chart and go back over the past 60 days, you can see a lot of these big stretches where in pre-market, the stock likes to really run up and then come right back down. So just be very careful of another one of those run-ups where it comes right back down today.
Yep, Oliver beat me to it. Palantir is running up, Tom. It actually broke above that resistance, right above 23. Right now, it's right at the other resistance, right around like 23.30. So yeah, it looks pretty good actually. For the most part, their options are well priced. I like the setup on this one. I just want to take a look at some other possible resistance levels. Give me 1 minute. So yeah, we have more resistance right around 24, and then another one right around like 24.50, you can say. So we have a lot of chop overhead, but right now it looks pretty good. It's awesome to see how it broke above that resistance.
Yeah, definitely. And whenever we look at that daily, like we said, it's just looking so good. Kathy Wood's been picking it up too. So that's definitely driving some momentum, I think, into this stock. And it's moving so good off the SMAs. And it's just like the setup overall on this stock is amazing. And it has hype behind it. It's one of the most talked about stocks on Wall Street Bets every day as well. So it just has a lot of good things going for it. Plus, it was great for cash secured puts, like you said. And I know that you got in some, and you're obviously pretty happy right now that the stocks keeps moving up.
I might sell more cash secured puts. Like I'm
yeah, there you go. Make it even better.
Let's see. Like I want to look at these premiums. Like if we look at like the 21 strike for, let me see, like maybe next week 21. Yeah, I mean it's only around like $13, so it's not amazing. The premiums fell by like 50% today. So I don't know. It's not amazing. It's not terrible though. I don't know. I might. I'm not a huge fan of the premiums right now though. But then we have, let's see, we have Kenneth asking about Bntx. So let's take a look. Bntx. Wow, this one's doing very well, Tom. Look at this thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
Bntx, and this stock has been a pretty popular one, I know. And if we go look at that daily, that's where it looks really good, coming all the way up to $170. This is a huge runner. Personally, I mean, I understand it's been running. It could keep running over the next few days to a week. I personally would not buy it here. I see it coming back down. You can see in the past, every time it has a big run, it shoots right back down. Definitely expect it. I would expect it to come back maybe to the $130 support over the next few months. But it is a great stock if if you know what you're doing and you want to buy it and sell it really quickly or something. It could be pretty good, but I would not get in for the longer term all the way up here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, it looks pretty good for the long term, but I just feel like it's too overextended right now. You know what I mean? It's been going vertical for the past, what is this, the past month almost? So,
Yeah, I mean I don't think it's posted 10 to 11 green days in a row. There's only one little red day here on, let's see, April 7th. So that's about the only red day over the past month, and it's just been a great stock to trade. And it's getting really overextended though, like we said. Let's go to that 1 minute chart, see what it's doing intraday. So intraday it's actually flat and holding up at those highs, so it might break above 170. Who knows? We'll just have to see.
yeah, and even though it might not be amazing for like a long-term hold right now, it can be great for day trades though. It has a ton of momentum and it's moving a lot intraday, so it can be great for day trades.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and let's see, with the next questions, let's take a look at MVIS again. So Rara is saying, let's take a look at MVIS, up around 10% today. Looks like it is going from green to red. It has support right around 1350. It looks like it bounced off of that. What is that, like 2 or 3 times already today? So, if it breaks below that, that definitely won't be a good sign.
Yeah, and be very careful. It looks like it's gonna break below it, but just be careful of a fake out as well. Personally, I would look at this to the downside today rather than the upside, but it looks like it is posting some green candles right now. So we'll just have to see how the movement goes. And guys, don't ever play things. Don't ever just get a call because you think it's going up or a put because you think it's going down. Always make sure that it plays off the charts correctly. For example, make it break below here before getting it. Don't just get it guessing that it's going to go down or get it just guessing that it's going to go up. Make it move above something or make it work out the way you want it to work out. Don't force anything.
Yeah, it's all about having a plan. I think the biggest thing is people just don't have a plan. Like, they'll just randomly buy something without a stop or without a profit target, and that can always end up in a bad situation. You can say having a plan is probably one of the most important things. So it's good that you bring that up. And then we have Power saying, "What are your thoughts on Chewy? CHWY?" So let's take a look at it. It is up around 0.5% today. Let me take a look at the daily. Has support right around, let's say, 75, 76. So I think it looks pretty good for a dip buy. Tom, you already know what I'm going to say. I like it for some cash secured puts maybe. Premiums are all right. They're not crazy, but I feel like it could be a win-win if you like the stock for the long term.
Yeah, it sucks that IV dipped down over the past couple months, but it's not terrible still, and it's at support, so it is a great opportunity for sure.
All right, and then let's take a look. We have, let's see, we have Jason saying, "Hey guys, Realty stocks are doing well today at Solar too." So let's take a look. I know TAN is the Solar ETF. TAN, Tom. This thing's up around 4% today. It looks pretty good actually. Like it's actually bouncing above support. I actually like the setup.
Yeah, and this is kind of funny. Really quick before we go to solar, I accidentally typed in TAM instead of TAN. And man, this stock, I don't know what happened to this one today, but this stock is very strange. But let's just go back to TAN. TAN is moving, it's starting to move down today, which is unfortunate. FSLR is another solar stock, and it's starting to move down as well. It looked like those two were almost moving in sync with each other. I know that FSLR is one of the more popular solar stocks, and it looks like it's doing pretty well and coming up off supports, which can be great. Same thing with TAN. They both look like solid setups, and it almost looks just like all these charging station setups, all the setups with EV stocks. They're all bouncing off their supports, and you can see it's all happened over the past couple days. And once again, this stock, TAN, the ETF, has bounced off support over the past couple days. So is FSLR. So I would throw this in the category with those EV stocks and obviously the solar stocks now, and then all those growth stocks like the airlines and the cruise lines and all those stocks that are kind of moving in sync with each other.
Gotcha. And then we have Vicky saying Zoom is and will be a great company. There was no COVID when they went into business, and they will come out with great products and services. Plus, they're already profitable. So, Vicky, I completely agree with you. I'm a huge fan of them for the long term, and I feel like they're at a pretty good level right now. They're already bouncing off support at, actually, they were bouncing off support at 300. They're up a little over 3% today, so I'm a huge fan of them as well, and I'm very excited to see what they do for the rest of this year, but also over the next 5-10 years. You know what I mean? This year has been amazing for them, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy to say in 5 or 10 years that we have Zoom at $1,000 a share, but we might have to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. It's just, I see a lot of potential, and I know some people are like, all right, COVID, like when everything goes back to normal, like some people are making the argument that Zoom's going to fall, but I just feel like no matter what, this company's going to find a way to innovate, and I just feel like with everything that happened this year, like there's been such a shift from the traditional, like you go to the office and like a more like work from home society, you can say. So either way, I'm a huge fan of it for the long term. One thing I don't like though is how the options are expensive. So that can be actually a good sign, but I was looking at some of these leaps, and man, they're expensive. Like you can go to, let's say we go to like the January, actually let's say we go to the June. Let's say we go to the June 17th expiration of 2022, and at the money call right now costs around $7,000. So they're definitely expensive.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty expensive. Oh, so expensive that I know a lot of the viewers aren't even going to be able to trade it, which sucks. But it could be a good trade, though, if you just want to pick up shares rather than pick up those leaps. But those leaps will obviously make a lot more if this stock goes up. And I actually love this stock for the long term as well. I think it'll innovate and kind of get back to there. And keep in mind, guys, nobody really knew what Zoom was before COVID. Once COVID started happening and Zoom stock started flying, people knew what Zoom was. And before then, nobody even knew what it was, but now Zoom is a household name. Almost everybody knows what Zoom is, and that should be a pretty big deal. It's almost like Apple, Microsoft, stuff like that. It's just always in people's minds, and it's just one of those things that has really boosted its popularity, and I don't think that popularity is going to go away just because COVID went away. Obviously people are still going to be using it as they are, and like you said, Mike, we're using it right now, so it's definitely a good system.
Yeah, it's just COVID really exploded. It really just exploded their company, and that's pretty obvious through their stock price. So let's take a look. Let's see, we have Oliver saying Simp got an accidental CRM calls and doing well. Simp's been on fire lately. He's been doing a great job. CRM's actually looking pretty good though.
Yeah, for sure. Tom? I was just updating a position really quick. Sorry about that.
No problem. But looking at CRM, it is breaking out, which is pretty good to see. So, Simp's been on fire, but at least it worked for him. So that's great to see. Let's see some of these other questions.
Yeah, CRM looks awesome, actually. It looks like a great setup on the daily, on the 15-minute as well. I mean, I'm actually really liking CRM here on the chart.
All right, well, let's take a look at, we have Oliver saying, MVIS, PLBY, and Sklz are just dropping like a rock. So let's take a look. MVIS, let's take a look. Yep, that's definitely dropping like a rock. It actually broke below that support. Yep, it broke below 1350, like we just talked about. It's definitely looking a little scary right now. IV is still pretty high. Let's take a look at PLBY. This stock is also, it's actually at support. It's at that 44 support, so watch out for that. Let's take a look at Sklz. This one is definitely pulling back as well. They have support right around 17. Sklz just exploded so much yesterday. So overall, they are all pulling back. They went from green to red, which is never a good sign. Let's take a look. We have Jerry saying the SLV Golden just came in. So let's take a look at SLV. we have a golden sweep. Someone bought $1 million worth of SLV call options. They are the 25 strike calls that expire on October 15th. So I was actually looking at a lot of flow yesterday with SLV and GLD, and I saw a lot of bullish flow. I saw a lot of call debit spreads being bought, which is, great to see. But SLV, it's definitely an interesting golden sweep. You can say $1 million going into calls that have some time, and they're not really too far out of the money either.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just one of those really crazy stocks. And for the longer term, I think it's going to be great. But man, it's these stocks are getting so volatile today, like Sklz and MVIS. So just be very careful. It has a lot of volatility to the downside, like we said. So just definitely watch out.
All right, and then let's take a look at Draftkings. It looks like this one went from green to red, so it has support right around $58. I like this one for the long term. Anything can happen in the short term, but yeah, it actually just went from green to red. It looks like it was trying to bounce up yesterday, but it looks like it can't hold above $60.
Yeah, for sure. And it is moving off of 58 intraday on DraftKings. So watch out for that. That's a big move off 60 and straight down to 58. Man, that's a pretty bearish setup here. I would expect it to maybe come back up here for a little bit, but it looks like it might keep going lower later today, unfortunately. And I was looking to get some shares of this a couple days ago whenever Kathy Wood did, but I ended up not doing it, kind of kicking myself for not doing that right now. So hopefully it creates an opportunity for me.
All right, well, let's take a look at what's moving. So we have AT&T definitely continuing up. It has a lot of momentum. Honestly, I don't think this one looks too bad for leaps, Tom. I'm actually really considering it. I know their options are pretty well priced. I really like Zoom right now. That's breaking out as well. Let's take a look. I think McDonald's is trying to run up. Let's see. CRWD running up, has a lot of momentum. BABA is running up too. They're actually breaking out. Peloton is coming to the upside, which is great for me because I have some cash secured puts on it. But overall, it looks like T is definitely the star of the show this morning. And then even Zoom, it has a lot of momentum, and this one's definitely a runner.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just helping Vicky out really quick in the chat.
Yep, no problem. So let's take a look at Microsoft. We have Matt saying Microsoft looking to run up more. It definitely is. It's breaking above that resistance right around 261, which is good to see. I'm going to look at their daily. They actually broke all-time highs today, so that's awesome to see. One thing to keep in mind is that they have earnings pretty soon on April 27th. So earnings are always a coin flip, but yeah, definitely watch out for that. But if we go back to AT&T, like Tom has pulled up right now, I really like the setup. In certain ways, it kind of reminds me of Bank of America. A couple months ago, I remember I picked up leaps like last year when Bank of America first started breaking out on November 9th. And T looks like a pretty similar setup. So IV is super low, so I'm really considering getting some leaps on this one.
Yeah, and T does have some very cheaply priced options as well. I know this is not a leap, but just May 21st for this year at the money only costs around $50 or $75, depending if you go for the 32 or the 3150. But the 32 strike call only costs $50, so it's actually pretty cheap. If we go to those, let's see, what was the price on those yearlies, Mike, or those leaps?
For AT&T?
Yeah.
Let me take a look. I actually didn't even look at the leaps yet, but now you got me
Yeah, it's only
curious.
$100 for January of 2022.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, like, if we look at and actually, Tom, there's actually a good amount of volume on these too. Someone's actually buying these leaps as well. I think the setup looks really good. Actually, I might have to pick up some leaps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to be, I think, a pretty good play here. I know I have 100 shares down here at the bottom. Just going to hold those. I might grab some leaps as well, or even sell some covered calls on the way up. But it's going to be a very interesting play. I'm looking for AT&T to kind of come back to the top of this trend line up here, somewhere around 35 or 36 over the next couple of years. So there's still like a 4 or 5 point margin there for me. So I'm still watching it.
Sounds great. And guys, we have a stocked up phone number. It's actually towards the top of the screen. If you text stocked up to 39970, we just started this, so we'll just be sending some market updates, important news, and just updates with stocked up on that phone number. So feel free to text us. Like I said, we're gonna be doing some market updates. But Tom, do you have any other major plays, any other major catalysts or anything you're watching for today?
Yeah, let's go watch. Let's go check out AMD, Nvidia, and Intel really quick. I know Nvidia was moving well off of that CPU news that they had last week. Now they're starting to come back to the downside, which is pretty interesting to see here. Intraday, hopefully, it can kind of hold this 610 level and go back to the upside. Let's go see AMD. Yeah, this one really got killed today, unfortunately. It's looking pretty bearish below the 1,000 SMA. Make it keep going down. If it falls significantly below $80, maybe look at some AMD puts here. I think AMD shares isn't terrible either. Around $80, given that their high is around 100, and given that the sector that they're in is on fire. So just watch out. I think that these stocks could be great pickups as well. Maybe good for cash secure puts. They're not as good as some of those other opportunities like Peloton or Palantir, but I will say they are in decent setups. I am watching them today. I'm watching AMD to the downside, especially with Nvidia. Like I said, coming out with that CPU news, it puts a lot of competition on Intel and AMD. So I think that will hurt them in the shorter term to longer term as well.
Sounds great. And then I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining Tom and I. We really appreciate it, and we're having a lot of fun live streaming. So thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream and asking questions. We had a great time. Like I said, thank you guys so much for joining. We hope you have a great trading day, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning.